guys.
Hello, good evening. It is time for the prospecting call for the evening. I am Frankie Shayne and Katie Lane, and here we go. So tonight, as you may have read in the little, what do you call it, subtitles or the little title about
sneaky peeky.
Yeah, exactly. Are you looking for a, what'd you put? I don't remember.
Filet mignon.
Filet mignon or a cube steak. Which cube steak, as those of you know, is what's found in a chicken fried steak. It's cheap steak.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really any can't really make it rare. It's pretty much got to be full cooked, and it's just poor man's steak. So another way to look at this is, are you building? Oh, sorry. Don't build an all-you-can-eat business. All right. So let me explain what that means. Don't build an all-you-can-eat business. Here in the United States, there's this great thing for those of you who are big eaters called the all-you-can-eat buffet. Now,
I only ever get one plate.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it depends on how you pace yourself.
Yeah.
But the all-you-can-eat buffet is, it's part of the reason America has a problem with obesity. But but variety is why a lot of people like it.
Mm-hmm.
Quantity is why a lot of people like it, because you've got a little bit of everything.
Right.
Try anything, do everything. But quality is what a lot of people don't like about buffets, because everything's built kind of conveyor belt almost style. It's like everything's made the same way, dozens of it, big casseroles thrown out there, eat it till it's gone, the next one comes in.
Kept warm with heat lamps or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not fresh.
Right, it's not fresh. And some of these places have all-you-can-eat steak on their line. Now, why are we talking about food? Why are we talking about this before we get started? Because I'm going to show you a principle that coincides with this. When you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, you can get a steak. I've done it. I've gone to all-you-can-eat buffets when you do family outings sometimes, and people got allergies and different tastes. Sometimes family dinners for restaurants, that's the best place to go because everyone can find something they like.
Right.
You won't have that one person, oh, I don't eat that, or I don't want to eat it. Everybody can find something, whether it's salad, whether you're a dessert person, whether you want steaks or casseroles. Well, the thing about steaks at a all-you-can-eat restaurant, they're all thrown on a grill at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask for one to be a certain, rareness, if you will, or doneness, if you will, but it's all kind of thrown on at the same time. It's not the same. But when you go to a steakhouse, okay, a place that specializes in steak, and you say, I want a New York strip, 15 ounces, medium well, I want it seared heavy on one side, butter on the top. Guess what? You're going to get
all of that.
All of that. Exactly how you ordered it. They're going to have you double check it at the table, make sure it's cooked the way you want it. Fresh, hot, steaming with your broccoli and potato, whatever you want. Whereas at the all-you-can-eat place, you say, I want medium rare, and they cut it, says, that look good, and they give it to you, and then at that point, it's on you.
No butter.
No butter.
No extra sear.
So why did I bring this up? Because what we want to talk about tonight is quantity versus quality. We don't want you to build a business that's based sheerly on quantity, sheerly on numbers, okay? There's a problem in a lot of these, especially the old school of thinking in marketing, was prospect, sign, get people in. You're going to have people fall off, but that's okay. You just stay ahead of the fall off. So that's all about numbers.
Right.
It's about quantity. It's not about quality leaders. They figure, law of averages, you're going to find one or two that really take off and are go-getters. I'll work with those. But the old mentality was throw mud on the wall, see what sticks. Okay, you work with the ones that stick around. But what we try to teach people is to not just always look at the numbers, but look at the quality of the people that you're getting. So Caitlin, would you rather have 10 people sign up underneath you that ordered their first order, they get their first kit, do absolutely nothing past that? Or would you rather sign one person up that orders every month, that is interested in building, that gets other people involved, that plugs them in, that's interested in the systems and learning everything? Which of those two sounds more appeasing to you to build a business?
It's a very hard decision. I'm gonna have to go with B.
Okay, perfect. I think most of you out there would say the same thing. Now, there is somewhat of a law of averages involved with this because you do, depending on lead sources and things, you get all kinds of prospects from all different backgrounds, all different experience levels. So sometimes finding that one may be hard, but that's the goal. The goal is to not try and just cram people in that aren't going to stick around. The goal is to find those people who will build and build with you and become a team together.
Right.
That's what you want in this. You want to build a team of leaders, not just a few stragglers here and there. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you look at quantity versus quality, quality should win out every time.
Right.
Okay. Now, that's not to say that there aren't times when you do need more numbers, because I mean, that's just the way it is. That's going to happen at times. But your focus should not be on more. It should be on the right one,
Right.
instead of a bunch of ones,
Right.
if that makes sense. So I've got a few lists of things of how this applies, because it applies in several different areas of your business that I want to point out. First off, as I said, don't fall into the trap of quantity over quality. Many times people will choose quantity over quality, just like buffet steak versus a steakhouse steak that is perfect.
Mhm.
That's prepared with time, prepared with care, and it's exactly to your liking. You tell them what you want, that's what you get. Exactly. Okay. So this applies to everything. One of the things I want to talk about is time spent with your prospect. Okay. Just because you spend an hour on the phone with the prospect doesn't mean that that whole hour was necessary.
Right.
Sometimes you get someone on the other end that's talkative, and you spend an hour talking to them, and more of that is spent talking about their glory days in high school when they did this or that.
Mhm.
You don't get to the business. You don't really get to talk about the product. You don't really get to know them per se. You get to hear stories about the way things used to be. And yeah, it's interesting. And yeah, you build a rapport, you're friendly with them, but it doesn't really benefit your prospecting efforts at all. It's literally just small talk for an hour.
Right.
But there are other times you get someone on the phone and you might only be on there 5 or 10 minutes. In that 5 or 10 minutes, you get straight to the point. And these people are excited. They want to get going. They hear about the product, they hear about the company, and they just get on fire and they ask the right questions. And it's very pointed and it's very straight to what they need. So don't always fall into the trap that because I'm spending a lot of time with this prospect, that's exactly what's needed. Because if it's not producing anything, just because you're on there, it's pointless.
Right.
Okay, so quantity over quality. You'd rather have those quality few minutes with someone that's directed, that's pointed to what is needed, than just have someone on for an hour.
Right.
Got
Yeah.
anything to add?
I think it could also go the opposite way. I mean, like we've talked about it before,
Right.
that you just have to tailor it to the person.
Exactly.
And that's basically what you're saying is sometimes instead of keeping the person on the phone and asking them
Right.
a whole bunch of personal questions, you fill them out.
Right.
How long is a good average amount of time that you could not keep them on the phone, but keep a conversation going? If you don't feel like you can keep a conversation going with them, cut it short.
Right.
Quantity or quality over quantity.
Yep.
If you feel like you can keep the conversation going, they seem like a very friendly person, and it's easy
Right.
to keep the conversation going, keep it going. Maybe that's what they need. We've actually had somebody, a really good example of that is they were on the phone with a person for over an hour one time. Okay, so at the end of the call, the guy was like, sign me up. I am ready to go. Everything you talked about was fantastic. And the person got off the phone and then they realized, wait, I literally mentioned nothing about the business, nothing about the products.
Right.
The person was looking for, and this is something you have to look for.
Mhm.
Part of prospecting is selling yourself. We've talked
Right.
about this before.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
person that this person was talking to needed to be sold on the person, on the leadership or the
Right.
support they were getting.
Exactly.
So keeping that conversation going was perfect. Some
Right.
people, like you said, only want to know how they're going to make some money.
Right. Exactly.
Short,
So
sweet, to the
it's,
point.
yeah, it's exactly right. The quantity and the quality in that could just simply be learning what they want.
Right.
That's all it is.
That's
Now,
what the
some
quality
people,
would be.
exactly.
Yeah.
And in that situation, the quality of that call was getting a trust between the
Right.
person calling and the person picking up the phone. That was what was important to that particular call
Right.
and that particular person. And they were ready to go simply on the fact that they trusted the person on the other line after
Yeah.
talking to them for a while. So, you know, again, quality over quantity. It doesn't have to equal minutes on the phone, and it doesn't not have to equal minutes on the phone.
Right.
It's about what's needed for that situation. That's where the quality comes in.
Mhm.
Okay, good
And
point.
I was gonna say that kind of reminds me, growing up, my parents said, fair isn't always equal, you
Right,
know?
right.
What you do with one person and the quality you give to one person is not gonna be the quality you give to another person. It's
Right.
not going to be equal.
Right. Something doesn't have to be equal to be fair.
Right.
And vice versa. Something can, you know, can be fair and not have to be equal. So,
Right.
or did I say that same? Anyway, you know, you
Probably,
guys
but
get
they
it.
understand that.
Yeah, you guys get it. You guys get it. Okay. Another thing is not only information shared, but also the type of leads someone acquires is another thing. Sometimes people think, well, I'm going to get this deal because I get 10,000 leads. Well, okay. If you're getting 10,000 leads for the price of 10 good leads,
Mhm.
you're going to get 10,000
Voice
lousy calls and 10,000 lousy voicemails. We've seen this time and time again. It doesn't matter if it's a mailing list, a cold call list, what they
Facebook
call
ads.
fresh leads, ads.
Mhm.
We've seen people say, I just want numbers, man. I want a lot of people in front of me. There's something to be said for that from a training perspective, because you're on the phones,
Right.
you're keeping those wheels greased, man. You're going at it. The problem is that many times when you have that kind of a quantity of leads, the quality of those leads tends to be a lot lower.
Right.
Especially when you're talking about cold call leads, even if they've been surveyed. You know, I've done a lot of those where people say, oh, these are guaranteed 48 hours fresh. They've been surveyed about their interest in a home business. That doesn't mean your business. That doesn't mean for life that they
Right.
understand this. That means that someone asks them, are you looking to build a home business? How much money? How much time? What are the best hours to contact you? Thank you very much. Someone will be in contact.
Right.
That's all that means. That is so generic. And so
Mhm.
you can call those people. Well, you may get a list of those leads that you're like, man, I got these leads for 3 cents a lead.
Right.
So I'm buying 1,000 of them. Well, guess what? At 3 cents a lead, you're not the only person they sell those leads to.
Right.
So yeah, you've got a huge quantity of leads, but by the time you get to 1,000, they may have been contacted by 20 other people.
Right.
So it might be worth it to pay a little extra, get fresher leads, a smaller quantity of leads, but a higher quality of lead, and work those.
Yeah.
You know, so again, it's quality versus quantity. Just because the numbers are there doesn't mean those numbers work in your favor.
Right.
It just means they're there,
Right. Exactly.
and that's not really enough.
No.
So,
Yeah.
okay, moving right along. Okay, now another one is the type of leaders that you work with. Okay, once you have people in your group and you're working with those leaders, you're going to find that you have people who are producers and consumers.
Yes.
Okay. And what I mean is with your time, they're either going to produce something with the time you invest in them, or they're going to do nothing but consume your time.
Mhm.
Okay. Those are the types of leaders you're going to have. Now, those who are worried about quantity are going to try and save every single leader they have, regardless of how much of a consumption of their time that takes from the leaders who are producers. Okay. So again, quantity over quality. Do you want to keep all these leaders in? And I'm not saying that you neglect them. I'm not saying that you ignore them. I'm not saying that you toss them to the curb. But where are you going to put your time? Are you going to put it into someone who's producing, or into someone who is doing nothing more than consuming? Now, the goal is to take those people who are consuming, who have a desire to be that producer, and build them into that.
Right.
But the fact is, you're going to have some people that just want you to do everything for them.
Mhm.
And in those cases, you have to weigh that out and say, okay, am I going to spend 5 hours a week, at least 1 hour a night throughout the business working week, 5 hours a night with this person, or 5 hours a week, an hour at least each time I get them on the phone when they call me every day, just for me to do all the work?
Right.
Or am I going to try to plug them into a system or something, let them kind of figure it out themselves, and then stick with this one who's really working, who's also asking for my time? But because they're doing so well, I'm choosing to work with a person that's struggling.
Right.
That's something that you want to learn and support, is how to support someone that way. But there's a point where you have to look at your time. Now, Kaylin's brought this up many times in the other training calls about you have to know your time. You have to free your time up so that you can continue building and so you continue getting to people. So that's why we have all these systems.
Right.
In the same respect, you have to look at the time spent with these leaders and where that's going and what it's producing. Now, my personal belief is that you start off giving everyone as much time as you can,
Right.
because you don't know who those people are. You have to
Right.
identify them first. Once you've identified those people, then you can start to look at, okay, how much time can I invest here? Can I invest? How much should I invest here? And should I invest here with these two different types of leaders? Because you want to build a strong team and then focus building that team and getting them to build their team and build their team. That's the whole purpose of this type of marketing, is that you support your leaders who then support their leaders who support their leaders, and it becomes a group effort. And all of your time is leveraged. Now you don't have to talk to 20 or 30 people to keep your business going. You talk to 4 or 5 who then talk to 4 or 5. But now towards your business, all of those hours add up towards building your business,
Right.
even though you're not personally making all of those calls.
Mhm.
So it's a leverage of time, but you need to look at the quantity versus the quality. How much time are you going to spend with them versus the quality of the type of leader they're becoming? You have to invest that as well. And it's not, again, I'm not saying kick people to the curb. What I'm saying is take inventory of your business. Look at the priority, look at where people are functioning at, work with people where they're at. You know what I'm saying? And that's what that point's all about.
Yeah.
Anything to make that clear?
Well,
I can
actually,
see you
I was
chewing on
thinking,
something.
yeah, like transferring that over to like a prospecting situation.
Right.
I think that it's a good idea for sure to, when you're going through and you are prospecting and you're putting that effort in,
Mhm.
to see which ones are producing or
Right.
consuming.
Right.
What people are taking the information that you give them and producing questions from it.
Exactly.
What people are consuming all of your time, trying to ask you all these questions, but you're feeling like they aren't looking at the material to find the answers
Right.
to their questions.
Right. They
All
want to
they
be spoon fed.
Right.
Right.
Um,
Consumers.
Right. Yes, consumers.
Right.
I also thought that it was a really good parallel to freeing up your own time with your team by not positioning yourself as the knower of all knowledge. We've
Right.
talked about this before.
Mhm. Right.
That also can carry over into prospecting
Absolutely.
because,
Yeah.
Like he said, there's always two sides of a coin. There's a training side of the coin, and then there's okay, I got that down. Now, what is my strategy type
Right.
thing?
Yep.
So your training is going to be a lot. It's going to require different things out of you than your strategy will. So as an example, in prospecting and freeing up your time, if you know what tool, we've talked about this before, filling your tackle box
Right.
with tools and knowing what those tools answer for the person.
Mm-hmm.
So if you send the person to a website, okay, you're transferring the information to the website, you don't have to say it yourself, send them a website, you move on to the next person.
Right.
Okay, they go through and they read everything and they come back and they have questions for you.
Right.
That is a good deal.
That's a quality prospect.
Right. If they're coming back and they're like, hey, so what's that transfer factor stuff again?
Yeah.
It's like,
Or, I pulled the site up and I really didn't get through it, but it's been a week.
right.
You've given them a whole week to study it, and all they've done is open the first page.
Right. Yeah. So you're probably going to spend more time talking to them than
Mhm.
before. If you want to, as a training perspective, take the time and go through and answer their questions with them, I think that's a good idea. If you're wanting to curate like a sales pitch, then as a training thing, go ahead and do that. But eventually, for strategy reasons, quantity over quality, transfer the explanation of whatever it is to a tool that they can get the information from. You're freeing up your time. You know what the answer is. You know they're going to find it on this website, but you're transferring that time over to the website so you have time to move on to the next person. As in a training thing, yeah, go ahead, give them the spiel, give them the opportunity spiel until you feel like you have that down to where you could make that fit for every single scenario that you might run into. Right.
And it comes down to kind of like we've talked about before, when we had the one, no more excuses and things. Sometimes you just got to kind of kick them out of the nest. Say, okay, well, we've talked about this before. We've gone through this presentation before. I've given you this information. I've given you these websites. So why don't you try it out a little bit? And I'll give you a call next week and let me know how it goes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it's like, okay, we've done the training. You're familiar with this information. It's time to try and put it in action and see what happens. And if you fall flat on your face, that's fine. But if you fall flat on your face and you feel like that it was from a lack of understanding of something, let's talk about that lack of understanding, but let's not rehash the entire thing again. Let's talk about that one key point. So that's another thing. That's why, I love having Caitlin here, because she knows about the systems, the Monday night training. There's so many times that these two trainings coincide.
Yeah, it's cool.
Because a lot of the principles remain the same, but we're talking about different applications here versus what your Monday night call is. But there's going to be a lot of crossover as well. So that's really cool. Okay, and this one is perfect for you, Mrs. Caitlin. Type of support systems. Again, quantity versus quality. This goes back to what I mentioned. I kind of alluded to this earlier when I talked about cold calls. You get these lists that just are, a penny a lead or something like that. And it's crazy. Well, again, that's a support system. That's a system that you're going to use to prospect. That's a system that you're going to try and, as we say, throw the hook out there. What about the quantity versus quality in that scenario? Okay. What kind of support tools are you going to use? Okay, now that they've responded, what do I do now? What kind of systems do I want to use? Do I want to use just, do I want to find something online that's free and just plug my info in? Do I want to, try to find some autoresponder? What do I do? This is where we come in, because we have the quality right off the bat of support systems. You don't have to search. You don't have to do the homework. You don't have to spend all this money on printing, on, customize this or that, because we have Caitlin, who can share with you all of the great things that we offer that are quality, that are going to help you get your business off the ground. So in all of these scenarios that we've mentioned tonight, and we'll expound on that too, but of all these scenarios, the main thing is that it applies in so many different areas of your business, of your life, of everything, is you have to look at the quantity versus the quality of things. And quality is something that you really, really need to hone in on, because it's the quality of a person or the quality of your team that's going to make you successful or not the numbers within your team. Again, going back to traditional thinking in network marketing, you want those big numbers. You want 10,000 people in your group. I guarantee you those people that had 10,000 people in their group probably had less than 1,000 that were fully active. So, the quality of their team was in that small number, not that large number. So as far as the different systems, Caitlin, you want to take that?
Sure.
Systems we can use for prospecting, quality systems.
Yes.
Targeted systems.
So you guys have it easy. I keep saying, okay. You are part of Professional Networkers.
Yes.
Okay.
Premier support group in the industry.
Yes. It's in the name.
Yeah, it is.
Professional
Networkers.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Some of you are also under the umbrella of Diamonds Are for Life.
Mhm.
Now, Diamonds Are for Life open their tools for everybody to use, everybody in For
Yep.
Life. So even if you're not under the umbrella of Diamonds Are for Life, you can use these tools
Diamonds Are
and
for Life tools,
resources.
right.
Yes. So first off, Professional Networkers has tools.
Mhm.
Actually, if you are signed up for the Mike Aiken's newsletter, then you would know
Right.
a few of the different tools that you have access to
Right.
as a PN member. That newsletter just went out last week. So if you
Ooh, check your
yeah,
email.
check your email, check your spam, just in case. If you
Right.
want to sign up for the newsletter, just let us know. Email support@professionalnetworkers.com and
Mhm.
just say you want to sign up for the newsletter. We'll
Yeah.
add you to the list. Okay, so check on that.
You're like, side note.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Diamonds Are for Life is where the magic happens.
Yes.
Okay, we
That's been
have,
your baby, kind of.
it's been my baby.
Yes.
Yeah. We have
You're like, yeah.
prospecting systems, multiple prospecting systems. And let me tell
Yes.
you what a prospecting system is.
Yes. Tell us.
Yes, it has a website,
Mhm.
okay? It has multiple flyers that are targeted to the website or separate. I mean, I'm basically saying the prospecting system is targeted towards something specific, and all of these things are targeted towards that specific thing. So
Right.
currently we have an energy prospecting system.
Mhm.
So we have a website for the energy. We have flyers for the energy. We have multiple marketing cards for the energy. We have
Now, when you
multiple
say energy, you're talking
postcards.
about the energy product.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Thank
For
you.
any of you who think we're just selling energy.
Energy,
There's actually
right.
an energy product.
Yes. Energy Go Sticks.
Yes, a very popular product with For Life.
Yes.
One of the reasons that's such an important product is the fact that it's easy to get samples to people,
Absolutely.
and that's part of the
And
system.
it's ready.
Is
It's
that right?
instant gratification.
Yes,
Yeah.
as opposed to Transfer Factor, which is our flagship product, which is an amazing product. I've been using it since the company started. We've been
Mhm.
with them, and I've been using it. It's amazing for the immune system, but it's not something that you can take a sample of and be like, yay, I feel great.
Yeah.
With the Energy Go Sticks, you can take it, and within half an hour taking it, you can feel
You
it.
can feel
You
it.
can tell there's a difference.
Right.
And so that's why it's a really good one. That's why we have the targeted system,
Right.
because it's a good, we talk about the bait and the tackle, and we talk about throwing the hook out there. It's a good hook because people can feel something, can see something, can tell a difference within minutes of taking it.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's a
that's
really
why
good
that
point.
system, and I wanted to point that out when she said energy, because for a second I was like, wait, is there a new product that I know? So Energy
Well-
Go Sticks is what she's talking about, but we have a targeted prospecting system built around prospecting using the Energy Go Sticks as your hook.
Right.
Okay. take it
And
back.
we're like actively developing more of those prospecting
Mm-hmm.
systems that are targeted towards our hot products.
Right.
So something like the Feel Right,
Mhm.
where one of the catchphrases we have is "Hello, Feel Right, Goodbye CBD." You know,
Ooh,
because
yeah.
it's kind of in the family. It's not
Nice.
CBD.
Right.
It has no CBD in it, but it is the effects can be calming,
Right.
very similar to CBD.
Right.
Something like the aqua products, the collagen, the Protea,
Mhm.
are products that have good studies and results behind them, are something that we're looking at right now, actively building prospecting systems around that have a website, flyers, marketing cards, postcards,
Right.
social media posts. So they're very well-rounded.
Mhm.
Each prospecting system, and not even just product, we have opportunity marketing tools and product marketing tools, and each of those categories have prospecting systems.
Awesome.
We also have websites that stand alone that are basically built like a prospecting system because it does
Right.
have all those support tools along with it.
Mhm.
We also have multiple videos on our YouTube channel that people can
Right.
use. So whatever medium there is, we have you covered.
Right.
Through the My Diamonds Are for Life portal, you can access all of these tools. And as we said before, and in that specifically in the tackle box
Mhm.
training, you want to go through, figure out who you are prospecting.
Right.
Figure out what questions they would want answered. To fill that tackle box, separate it into 2 categories: product, opportunity. I would suggest at least 3 tools per category.
Right.
Pick something that's a little bit broad. So for the product side, I would suggest the Immune Superpower website.
Right.
It talks mostly about transfer factor and the immune system. We do have a website we're developing for specific products. So you can have more of like a targeted thing for each product. But as far as the immune system and transfer factors go, the Immune Superpower system, I would say for me, if I was marketing, that would be my number 1.
Right.
As far as opportunity goes, we have a lot of websites. My opinion is that I would go and find one of those targeted prospecting systems and find one that I know would match the prospect. So one of the prospecting systems we have is employee to entrepreneur. So if you know that these people are employees that you know are looking for a different employment,
right,
that's the type of prospecting system you would want to go for. And the reason you'd want to target that is because it answers all of their pain points. Pain points are something that you want to target when you're marketing, because you know the pain point is basically like, you know what's basically paining them.
Right.
And wanting them to change. And then you're answering that without pointing out, you hate your job.
Yeah.
Right. Or you are poor.
Right.
Like you're recognizing their pain point. They want to make money. They want a change in occupation. And you're answering those questions in the targeted marketing.
Right.
We have so many things. We have flyers that aren't even attached to prospecting systems. We have postcards that aren't attached to prospecting systems. You guys are covered. The only effort you have to put in is filling your tackle box.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
Quantity over quality.
The tools are there. You just have to pick the right ones for the person.
And I did not mean to say quantity over quality. I meant to say quality over quantity.
But you do want to have a lot of tools. So
yeah.
In your defense, that one kind of works.
Yeah.
You want a quantity of quality.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what you want.
That's what we have over here.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you can tell, we have so many systems that are still in the works, because as we build systems and as we talk to people in the field and as we get feedback from people, we understand, okay, we need a little bit more specifics.
Well-rounded.
Well-rounded. Exactly. We don't want to leave any stone unturned.
Right.
Now, on our side, the trick with that is that sometimes you can be overwhelming by having too much.
Yeah.
And I know it's an overwhelming workload.
Look, I understand that feeling. When I go into a Burlington, I don't know if Burlingtons are nationwide, but when I go into a Burlington and it's just filled with clothes, I'm like, nah, I don't really want to look.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. You're just like, sensory overload, I'm done.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, no. But yeah, I mean, again, to summarize what we're talking about tonight is that you need to look at your business through the perspective of looking for quality prospects, quality presentations, quality calls, quality leads, quality support systems, quality information shared over quantity. You don't just want to get and rack a bunch of numbers up simply because you can. You want to target that. We talked before we came live, we were kind of going over a few little points to make. And one of the things I mentioned was that, a person might make 100 calls or might have a leads list. So say you got a leads list and there's 100 names on it, and you determine that I'm going to get through 100 of these in one day.
Right.
Or maybe you say, I want to do half today, half tomorrow. And you become so focused on the number that you just dial. You don't take the time to really listen to the prospect when you do get someone on the call.
Mm-hmm.
And then you blow it because you're so concerned about the quantity of calls. I have to reach that 50 today. I would rather spend 5 hours on the phone with 4 or 5 good prospects than make sure they got 50 calls in one day.
Right.
Because those are going to yield more than just going through calls simply to rack up the number.
Yeah.
So you want to look at the quality of what you're doing versus the quantity of it. And it applies, as we mentioned here, in several different areas. It's not just one singular area that it applies to. It applies to everything you do. You need to look at how much time you're spending with the prospects, how much presentation, how much information, all the things we covered tonight. So if you're catching the end of this and you're kind of wondering where we're going with all this, when we're done, watch it again.
Mhm.
It'll all make sense. So, but yeah, I think that covers everything we want to cover tonight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, quality for one person
Mhm.
is different for the other.
Right. Exactly. So you have to keep your mind open. And that's why I say, don't be so focused. Yeah. Don't be so focused on one or the other as far as quantity of something, because sometimes a good quality for one person might be spending a little bit more time. But again, that is determined by taking quality questions, quality time with them at the beginning to determine what it is.
Right.
If you just want to get through that call so you can rack those numbers, again, you're still.
That's the wrong mindset to go into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight on your Thursday night. We will see you again next Thursday. And then Caitlin will see you on Monday and Tuesday as well.
Yes.
So she's here all week. So
be excited, guys.
Yeah. But I will see you next Thursday. And until then, it's Frankie Shayne and Katie Lane, and we are out.